Good morning, Oxnard. My name is Alex Bureau, and I'm an investment advisor with Plan Member Securities and with the Optimist Club. And today we're starting our show on Good Morning Oxnard. Joining me here today, I have Chief Scott Whitney with the Oxnard Police Department.
Good morning. Good morning.
As well as Melissa Valdez with Community Affairs.
Thank you. Good morning.
And today our topic of the day is community safety in Oxnard. Would you like to tell us a little bit about it?
Sure, yeah, there's a lot to talk about. Maybe I'll just start out with talking a little bit about myself. Scott Whitney, I'm the police chief. I've been with the city of Oxnard for 29 years. Born and raised here, right? The time's gone by so fast. Started with the police department in 1990. Worked my way up the ranks. Worked in the city manager's office for a few years and became the chief in 2016. So this is what I live, I breathe, public safety. So anytime I get a chance to talk about it, I'll show up.
Would you like to talk a little bit about community affairs?
Sure. My name is Melissa, as you mentioned. I've been with the department since 2016, and I really enjoy the opportunity to share the story of our police department in conjunction with our community and just the way that we are building relationships and increasing safety in Oxnard.
I wish I could take credit for hiring Melissa. I actually inherited her. She started about a month after I did as the chief, but she's just been great for the department, great for the city. She's a champion for the city of Oxnard. So.
One of the number one things I would like to thank you guys for doing is the community outreach that you guys do in the community. It's hard not to go to an event and see either yourself or one of your staff members. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your schedule is like and all the events that you're at?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot.
So it's all consuming. I love it though. I told my wife when I became the chief, we all make sacrifices in our jobs and our lives, and part of the sacrifice as a chief is time. You have to be, if you're going to be a good chief, you have to be accessible, which means you're sacrificing time. But it is what it is. I love it. So we take every single opportunity we can to engage with the community because we believe in it. It's part of what we do. When I first started as a police officer, I thought the job of community safety was one thing, which was you find bad guys and you take them to jail. And the job is more complicated than that. It includes community engagement. So we take every single opportunity we can to engage with the community, and it takes many forms. Just because you're doing a good job, if people don't know about it, are you really doing a good job? So we have, and I could talk all day about all the different things we do, but it's as simple as coffee with a cop. You probably see that. If you show up at a coffee place regularly, somewhere in Oxnard in the morning, you're likely going to see us there because we call them the positive contacts. We try to have as many positive contacts with our residents as we can. If we can show up at an elementary school and have a positive contact with hundreds of kids and their parents, and it's an hour investment of our time, it's a great use of our time, and that's just 1 hour. We have other things we call community conversations. We look for community partnerships. We tell people we will partner with you in any number of ways. We will come and support your event. You can come and support our event because we have our fair share of events as well, or we could partner on different events. And Melissa, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or if you want to talk about our pin that we're doing with the Colonial Library.
Sure. So one of the undertakings that we've had at the department is finding ways to help raise funds for really worthwhile initiatives. Over the past year, starting last October, we supported the American Cancer Society, and I had the unique opportunity to convince Chief Whitney to sell our breast cancer awareness patches and actually have one of our Sergeant McGreevy, he was the champion, or has been the champion behind that. And this past April, we did our autism awareness campaign, both of those campaigns were very successful. I think we raised over $10,000 for breast cancer, $15,000 for autism awareness, and now we've taken on the opportunity to help raise funds for the Colonial Library. And we are selling pins. They are going to be pins that you can wear, lapel pins. And we don't have them yet. They should be coming in on Thursday. But with every $20 donation, you will receive a pin. And so far, we've raised around $7,000 over the last couple weeks. And we're really proud to have great community support. A lot of people who are born and raised here in Oxnard see the value in supporting this effort. So we're very grateful to them.
I tell people it took me about 4 weeks to convince me on the pink patches, and then it took I saw the value of that and the way you can connect with the community. And it took me about 4 seconds for Melissa to talk me into the autism patches. So.
Well, I want to thank you for the community involvement. And also the other part that I want to add is I think it's very important that you guys do such a great job with community outreach. So when there is a critical situation, people can feel more comfortable reaching out to you and knowing that you guys are humans as well, and that you guys are there to help with public safety, and you're not just the distant police department that's only there in a serious situation. So I want to thank you guys.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And that's a good point. The officers are humans too. I always tell people we do the best job we can to hire the best people, men and women, heroes from within our community, give them the best training that's available, and then we send them out to do a very tough job. So they are part of the community. It's us working together. And the community needs to support the officers, and the officers will work and support the community. And that's how you make a stronger, that's how you make a safer community.
I'd like to switch gears a little bit here and talk a little bit about what you think some of the biggest challenges are that are facing Oxnard right now.
Sure. Probably like the biggest one, the biggest complaint that we get from our community is it's related to the homelessness challenges that our state is facing. I say our state's mostly California. It's throughout the country, but it's mostly the West Coast. So California, Ventura County, Oxnard, all facing the same challenges with homelessness. And it is it's increasing exponentially, and there's no easy solutions. It's related to a lot of different things. It's related to how expensive it is to live in California, but it's more than that. It's much more than that. It's also related to our what I believe is a lack of a safety net in our state for persons suffering from a mental illness, and also people that have a drug abuse, drug dependency problem. There's a lack of a safety net. And with the state of California changing the laws over the past several years, where many of the lower level crimes, including drugs and lower level thefts, essentially there's a lack of penalties. And so in a sense, California has about 45,000 less people in prison today than they did, say, about 6 or 7 years ago. Now those 45,000 people, unfortunately, like I said, there's no safety net for them. The majority of them did not go into a high-paying job or did not go back to a family where everything was going to be okay. So that also added to the homelessness problem that we're seeing in California, and what the community generally calls about are the vagrancy issues. So that's really like the biggest challenge, I think, facing public safety, because in a lot of ways it's not a police issue. It's primarily not a police issue. I see us as secondary. Unfortunately, cities don't have the resources. So who do people call? If somebody is sleeping on their property or causing any disturbance on the property, the only really resource they have in a city is called the police.
And I would also like to ask you, what are some of your goals and what do you see as the future of Oxnard?
Yeah, so thank you. I love talking about our goals. Within the police department, we really believe that you do not get high performance. You're not ever going to be a high functioning police department or organization if you don't have common goals and if everybody's not working toward those common goals. The analogy we like to use, or I like to use, probably overuse, is where if you imagine we're in this boat and we're all rowing, like every oar has to be in the water, so everybody's working and you're rowing together. You're rowing together. And so yeah, we have to be able to articulate our goals. The first one really is improving public safety. We're the police department, who else is going to do that, right? Kind of related to public safety is crime. We're always pushing to reduce crime, and right now we're in our 4th year of lowering crime rates, so that's a good thing. A lot of different reasons for that. Our officers do a really good job. We're focusing more on, let's focus on those violent offenders, let's focus on the habitual offenders, let's focus in on the problem areas, and let's focus more on crime prevention. So that's one of them. A second goal related to improving public safety is traffic safety. Most people don't think about traffic safety when they're thinking about public safety. But we know statistics-wise, and especially in the recent past, most people, the average person is much more likely to get injured or killed in a traffic fatality than they are to become a victim of a violent crime or a homicide. So traffic safety is a big thing for us. Most of us can't go from one point to the next without seeing somebody on their cell phone. The laws changed in California. You cannot even hold your cell phone. Cell phones are great, a lot of uses, but not when you're driving the car because it just makes it unsafe for everybody. So we really focus on what we call the 3 Ds for driving: distracted driving, that's with your cell phone; DUI driving, that's alcohol or drugs; and then dangerous driving, which is, and most of us see that too at some point when we're driving from point A to point B. Dangerous driving is people that are speeding, people that are following too closely, changing lanes unsafely. So we have zero tolerance for that. We're not in the business of writing tickets just to write tickets, but we have zero tolerance for dangerous drivers. And then the last thing in regards to community safety is drug abuse and the problem, and it's particularly with opioids. We had 170 people die in Ventura County last year from drug overdoses. And nobody talks about that stuff. You never see it in the newspaper. Nobody talks about it. And the vast majority of those, 170, are opioids. And so we're doing our part at the police department. 1, work with the county. 2, try to educate our community about the dangers of opioids. I would say 3 is Narcan. Narcan is a drug that can affect the consequences of the opioids when somebody overdoses. So our officers carry them with them. They've administered that. They've saved lives. We also encourage our residents, if you know somebody, if you have a loved one, a family member that you know has an addiction to an opioid, that we encourage you to have those available as well. Could go on and on about our goals, but I'll just very briefly talk about the others. The second one is community engagement. We kind of already talked about that. How do we do a better job of engaging our community? The third is neighborhood problem solving. Not every problem that our officers respond to is best addressed via like a 911 call. Some of them are longer, more chronic problems, so we need our officers to be able to have some time to address those. And then the third one we call is just tools for success, and a lot of those are more internal goals on how do we do a better job as a department to get our officers the training that they need, to get them the tools to have the best policy. So those, in a sense, are our goals. And Melissa, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, or okay, all right.
Well, I want to thank Chief Whitney for coming on our show.
Thank you.
Today.
Thanks for the invitation.
And Melissa, thank you very much. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please like and subscribe our channel, kdytv.com. And again, we came here today from Tomas's Cafe, and so stay tuned next week for upcoming content.
Oh, and can I also add something? So also look for us on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. That's where we share a lot of the stuff that we're doing. Like every single day, we're posting stuff to social media. So
You guys have a basketball game coming up.
That's right.
We do.
Yeah, we're taking on the firefighters. I don't think that we've ever lost to them, have we?
We haven't yet.
That's just a friendly jab at our firefighter friends.
Very good. All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.